In this video, you'll see CJ Carr's keynote presentation for the first Sound of AI Hackathon. The presentation is really dynamic and fascinating. It's a door into the Dadabots world. Dadabots is a creative duo co-founded by CJ Carr. They create AI-generated music using neural audio synthesis. And indeed, in this presentation, you'll learn a lot about their journey, but at the same time, you'll learn a lot about neural audio synthesis, the different tools, the different pitfalls, and the different possibilities opened up by these new techniques. Without any further ado, I'll leave you with CJ Carr and his amazing presentation.
All right, everyone. Hey, I'm CJ from Daughterbots. Give us a follow on Twitter and YouTube. Yeah, Daughterbots. We started a music hack day, a hackathon just like this. And we ended up spiraling out of control into this adventure through academia and music culture and the internet. And even a world tour. It can happen to your project too. Actually, we do hangout tours now because our bots are automated. They make the music for us. So we just show up and hang out with people. We are known for AI death metal, eliminating humans from music. When AI music ends up destroying the music industry, that was our fault. Sorry, guys. We do 20% research, 80% content creation. Most AI labs mostly doing research. Most artists don't really dabble into the research. We're kind of both, but with a passion for making music. And we focus on neural synthesis. So this is the side of machine learning where we're creating neural nets to generate raw audio music. And a model might look like this. And we're dealing with audio, and it's just a sequence of amplitudes. So we can use sequence models to generate it. For example, like WaveNet. This is the very first example we ever made. We trained it on an a cappella of Kurt Cobain, a whole data set of his singing. And when you know it, it's started screaming Jesus. This is a very, very first example. Where like I thought it was gonna be silence or noise, or like we had some bug in the code, but it was screaming Jesus. We were raising his soul from the dead. That I knew we were onto something pretty cool. By the way, guys, if you have questions during the talk, just ask them in the chat, and then I will address them when I'm done. So we started with speech models. This was 2016, where there were people experimenting with WaveNet and sample RNN. This is sample RNN when it was only used for speech. And then we made it 3 times larger, adding LSTM units, adding skip connections, changing the normalization, just doing a lot of experimentation. And when we were messing with this at various hackathons, like the South by Southwest hackathon, this was kind of our early tiptoes into Python. We were using Librosa, which you heard about from the last presentation. I think Librosa was a great introduction to Python because the documentation is great, and you can just have that up and running in a Jupyter notebook or a Colab notebook within very quickly, and start generating spectrograms and all that. And then once you're comfortable there, then it's about downloading deep learning models on GitHub. Really good one for beginners, I would say, if you really want to just dive right into it. Or actually, I mean, even experts too. Rave. I think Rave is kind of state of the art for neural synthesis right now. It runs real time, and it only takes a day to train. You can train it on a Google Colab. There's like, even after you have a model, you can make a VST and load that right into your DAW and start making music. And there's also Newtone, which is another VST that does this. yeah, if you want to get into neural synthesis during this hackathon, start looking up Rave. Back to our normally scheduled programming. What we thought it would be cool to publish an academic research paper as a hackathon team. It's kind of like, all right, we've been doing all these hackathons. What's the next tier of it? And it's like going into all these machine learning conferences like NeurIPS and Izmir, and just seeing the like PhD level projects people are working on, and we wanted to be part of that. So for our project, we submitted this to NeurIPS, generating black metal and math rock. And instead of publishing research, kind of like this, we published it on Bandcamp. Here, I'm going to play an example of what it sounds like to train a neural net on the Beatles. This is sample RNN, which is a neural synthesis model. So when it first starts training, it sounds completely like noise. But then, after a day of training, you start hearing some drums, maybe some voice. It's not really picking up. And after a couple days, it's like, okay, you can hear all the Beatles singing. You can see, you hear guitar, hear drums. So over time, the music forms, and the goal of this net is to eventually memorize the data. We never really train it that far for it to spit out verbatim, but along the way, it makes this music that is half formed that sounds just amazing, and you could play with that very creatively. So we were just publishing our research on Bandcamp, but people started rating it, like treating it as if it were music, like music critics, and we were just astonished people considered this music. So we started doing training other records and other genres like black metal, which is one of our favorite genres. And some critics wrote like that this was an actual attempt to present the material in as enjoyable its context as possible. When you're academic and you're showing off your algorithm, I encourage you to take the next step and think about how music fans would like to digest what you just created, this new futuristic sci-fi machine learning technology, because sometimes it explodes. So we trained this model without asking the artist. We just kind of published it non-commercially on our YouTube channel, with no ads, and then we asked them, I'm like, yo, let us know if you want to do a takedown. Sorry, we used your album as the sacrificial lamb. And then the artist was like, that's awesome. I don't personally feel represented. Thanks for asking. And they were down for more collaborations, which we ended up doing. So there's been a positive reaction from the music community when you're just a hacker making up tech and throwing people's music into it. And most musicians that we talk to are into collaborating with that kind of technology. In fact, it's easier to reach out to a band as a hacker more than it's easier to reach out as a hacker than as a musician. So here is an example of critic, internet's busiest music nerd, listening to our black metal album.
Oh, that's really weird. Oh, that's really weird. It makes me smile because I'm actually kind of amazed by it. It obviously doesn't sound like much and is not that inspiring from a compositional standpoint, but the aesthetic is there. I mean, it's not perfectly clean and well assembled and smoothed out like the way that Krallis's sound is, but to me, it sounds like I'm honestly listening to a live demo of Krallis.
Yeah, so that's crazy when just the internet is eating this stuff up, and they are ready. Everyone is so excited for their AI overlords to come and take them over. And as hackers, you are the ones on the frontiers of that. So the Lunacy continued. We started throwing all different kinds of albums in it, various genres like mathcore, gent, and just fans of those bands just like being like, wow, my mind is so fucked up from hearing this. This is nuts. We tried Skatepunk, and we put out a few tracks. And then some YouTubers started remixing those tracks into their own fan videos. And so in this fan video, they come up with the lyrics. So what's interesting about these unconditional models is that they're not trained on lyrics. They don't know anything about English. It's just nonsense syllables. And you can imagine, you can come up with what do you think the words are? Yes, and I'm just cracking up. We're both of us just laughing. And if you approach your project with humor and comedy as your primary motivator instead of, I don't know, money or like startup success, it's a lot more enjoyable when it's I don't know. So the band started reaching out to us to do various kinds of collaborations. Here on Thrac Vicious Integrath, we created a 10-hour version of Insano Thrac's album when it was as their album release. Mathcore Index Fest invited us to perform live stream during quarantine, and we're still performing. It's a live stream that's been running a year. Still going. Also, it pairs really well with AI generated animation. So here we have a generated mosh pit to Dadabots music. Yes. Yeah. Well, I just love that we're in the middle of a renaissance right now for AI art and music, and a lot of it's happening in collab notebooks. If you're interested in the animation aspect of it, check out collab notebooks like Disco Diffusion, Clip VQGAN, and collab notebooks are free GPU in the browser. Then where you can run Python. But the thing that we're most known for is this 24/7 death metal live stream, Relentless Doppelganger, and it's been running for 3 years. And when we created it, at the time we were curating the outputs of all these neural nets, but for some reason this model, everything it made, if we just let it stream continuously, sounded great. And we didn't get tired of it. We could play it for hours and hours, fall asleep to it, wake up. It was fresh enough. and within a narrow range enough and hypnotic enough and like sort of ambient enough even that I'm like, okay, this could be 24/7. We just let it run, let the neural net run. So this is just incredible. Like every time I tune in, it does something that I haven't exactly heard it do before. And this was trained on the music of technical death metal band Archspire. They might be the fastest death metal band currently living. Their latest album has a song in 400 BPM, and we saw them live. They actually perform it. So in Humans versus Machines, it's Archspire is what representing humans right now. And we wanted to make their life really weird. Skynet is writing our next album. That's what they tweeted. This was another record that thing we put out without talking to the band first. But then later, we're hanging out in the backstage. We've seen them a bunch of tours. Homies. Actually, now they said that listening to the live stream themselves is now influencing how they write. So I'm kind of curious for their next album, how we're going to hear that AI influence in their music. This is exciting to me. So, cold email artists you like. If you're working on some cool, interesting thing that can work with a band or artist, like literally just reach them out. Like, yo, I'm a AI researcher. I'm competing in this hackathon. Do you want to do some kind of collaboration? And most people overwhelmingly say yes. So don't hesitate. And out of this, like really cool kinds of collaborations can happen, like even music videos. So here we worked with the UK beatbox champion Reaps One. We shot a music video at Bell Labs in the anechoic chamber, and he battles his beatbox twin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Enough for a piece of rosin. As this is. And for with VDM and this exploration just.
It's awesome. And beatbox, the beatbox community has been really, really, really into AI for just so many reasons. And here this is unconditional generating. This is battling an AI. And Reaps One talks about it like kind of like battling a chess AI. It makes you better at your game. You're playing against an opponent, different kind of opponent, and it forces you to think differently. Also, beatboxers are interested in playing with those real-time style transfer neural synths. Like imagine going like, and then putting it through, say, even a rave VST. Maybe this can even be your hackathon project. Train it on some dubstep and hear full production 48 kilohertz dubstep come right out of your voice. So we're going to be seeing this pretty soon with voice artists. I'm really excited about that. Other models you can mess with. Jukebox, OpenAI Jukebox is a really good one. It's kind of an intense to train, but if you have 8 GPUs for a week, you can train it on your custom dataset on your music. It also is pre-trained on 800 artists, or no, 8,000 thousands of artists, hundreds of genres, and you can come up with new sounding stuff. And it takes about a day or two to generate on a table GPU. You may be able to do it on a Google Colab but you probably need to run your own Linux server in the cloud. This is what we usually do. We're using AWS or Google Cloud. We'll rent a GPU that has like 16 gigabytes of GPU RAM, and maybe it's $3 an hour max. So generating training might take $100 or something, and then we'll come up with stuff like this lo-fi classic metal, only music from the metal from the 80s style. You can also make it do deep fakes because it's a lyric conditioning model. So we're getting into this deep fake world, and actually even fans from Ukraine were deep faking us. They made this fake Dadabots lab in Ukraine. I hope one day I can come visit this non-existent location. Frank Sinatra sings Britney Spears. This is what we made with Jukebox. An impossible cover song, because obviously Frank Sinatra was no longer around when Britney Spears came out with a song. And I got a copyright takedown. And interestingly enough, is representatives of Sinatra gave it a takedown. And so we had never, stuff like this has never really existed before, like fully neural synthesized cover songs. There had never been a takedown like this before, so we kind of wanted to just get like some legal help and see where the line actually is. And the EFF, who has defended internet freedoms for decades, supporting the right for people to use cryptography when government is trying to make personal use of cryptography illegal. They support Creative Commons and net neutrality and all that. So they pro bono helped us because it was a novel kind of case. And turns out it's fair use, this particular example. It's and YouTube agreed, so they reversed the copyright, and we raised Frank Sinatra Toxic from the dead again. Now it's officially a cover song, so Britney Spears, the owner of Toxic, whoever the copyright owner is, her label, gets the publishing royalties, and the master doesn't go to Frank Sinatra, it goes to us, because it doesn't sample from any particular master, which is interesting. So we're entering in this new world of sampling, just like in the golden age of hip hop, with groups like Public Enemy were sampling all these vinyl records, and they would sample hundreds of records. Now we use neural synthesizers, which can sample styles without directly copying, which is fascinating. So we in an effort to help out the world of hip hop, we released 12 hours of public domain funk music, and we used fingerprinting. We used PEX. Zach from Dadabots is head of machine learning at this copyright fingerprinting service, and there's no overfitting in this public domain data set, so you're free to use it and it won't get flagged. And here it is. It's called, and it was called No Soul, and in collaboration with hip hop artist Keon Christ, and he made the first remix. I'll just show you what it sounds like. What it sounds like. Yeah. One of the best parts of being an AI music person is that you can just invent new genres. Yeah, just a sneak peek. And if you go on the NVIDIA website and look up No Soul, Daughterbots, here is you can explore the whole data set. Yep, and just download it and use it in your sound. Right. Can I explain the royalties? So yeah, YouTube court is not real life court. So it's not a like it may not hold up if it actually went to a real court, but YouTube decided that this was technically a cover song. Things that I love about neural synthesis are directions that you can take it in. It's, you know, we could make endless music in a certain band style or in a certain genre, but what about genre fusions? We've been exploring like mixing and matching training data, mixing and matching style embeddings. And there are certain styles that just blend together really well. And funk and gent are two genres that blend extraordinarily well together because the rhythmic syncopations are like the same. But they just have different timbres, different instruments. So with this example, you actually get a lot of like from funk with like the from the guitar, and get a mix of like death growls with like the soulful music. A whole genre waiting to happen. There's a cosmos of style, and with you know, each of these galaxies, each of these stars is an actual recording. But the empty space between, you know, what's in there? Is there dark matter? Are there hidden, veiled, like alien worlds that don't want to be discovered? Neurosynthesis can be a spaceship to explore the music that's out there between. Like Every Noise at Once is an awesome website for looking at all the different styles and kind of like the cosmos of styles, but you know, like what's over here in the blank space. So this is one of the things you can do with Jukebox, although Jukebox is really, really slow, and so it's hard to explore that. So we're trying to make these multi-genre models that are fast, so you can easily explore this space, and that can even be your instrument where you're navigating style space. All right, the AI Song Contest. This is another place to go if you're a music AI person. This happens every year. This just happened. There were 46 entries this year. This is the third year. So in the first year, we, you know, they told us to make a pop song, so we took Vocaloid, put it on the whisper setting through distortion to turn it into metal vocals. Let's show you. Yes, so much yes. The second year. Oh, actually, yeah. So Germany actually gave us an independent music award for this for best experiment. Gotta love Germany. So the second year, we tried to get last place. The first year we actually got like a perfect 12 out of 12 judging score. And then I'm like, all right, we won't get last place. So we try to put the least amount of effort. We used Jukebox. We just hit generate, fell asleep, woke up, and had a punk song. We called it "Can't Play Instruments." Also watch out if you get really, really deep into algorithmic music, you start actually losing your chops a little bit. Just keep up the practice. This year we made Nuns in a Mosh Pit, and this song is full of all different kinds of techniques that we've been exploring. It's this super, super dense song. I'm just gonna play it with you, and yeah. So these are nuns. We generated a gospel singer singing "Hail Satan" with Jukebox. Thank you. So if you're interested in what maybe state of the art is in neural synthesis, or and what the future directions of, like the near future directions of it are, check out Nuns in a Mosh Pit. There's a process document that's 6 pages where the whole is a really big team this year. Shout out to Zach Bono. Really big team that put this together, and we wrote about all our different techniques, and those are all their own rabbit holes that you can go down. Other things you could do as an AI musician, you can release a model of yourself and let other people do it. So this is what Holly Herndon does with Holly Plus. She has Holly.plus. This is something you can use. Go and use it right now. You can upload any recording. It's going to send it through her style transfer model, and it's going to sound like her voice. It works really well if you put voice into it. You can also put pitched instruments, anything. Try it. Go for it. Try the experiment. We made a song using Holly Plus. I'll just show you just a quick example of what her model sounded like. So this is a breakcore song, and we used like a polyphony of her voice that was driven by my voice. Yeah. So music collaborations are getting way more interesting these days because of these kinds of algorithms and techniques exist. And there's just so many different ways you can go ahead and do it. Here are some other things you can do. You can work with symbolic music. Here we made we're working with Guitar Pro. Guitar Pro is a tablature notation software for bands, guitar-based drums setups. We released a data set of tons and tons of these songs. And we have a team at Queen Mary University that is generating models using this data to create tablature. And yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole. If you're interested in that, symbolic music is a lot easier to work with than raw audio. You can train these models on they train way faster. You could, we've set this particular data set up to look like a language model. So you could use Hugging Face, you could use transformers, any GPT-2, anything that a language model can do, you can use this to generate music. So sometimes it can look crazy like this, or you can actually create riffs, which, yeah, here. This riff in the middle was generated using that way. Also, things you can do. You can also collaborate with robots. Here's a band called Compressor Head. They're literally a band of robots that play real instruments. They have no AI. They have no software engineer on their team, or at least they didn't before we reached out to them. And this is a open source project that we're building, open Compressor Head. If you're interested in giving your skills to this project, we need more people. We just want to create the software that'll turn tablature into the band commands for the band, because they do it all manually. It takes a whole week just to even do a cover song. They don't even do original songs. And then once that is in place, then you can add an AI model to it. And I mean, this band goes on tours. There's very few, nothing's like this. I think it's really exciting. But yeah, we need way more hands just to do it. Yeah, future things I'm excited about. Different kinds of decoding. So once you have a trained model and you want to make a sequence, the model just comes up with probabilities. What you decide to do with those probabilities is a whole other class of thing. And picking the most probable doesn't work. And even picking it weighted according to the distribution isn't realistic either. And typical decoding is this thing that people are talking about this year that is working well to make language more realistic, and I'd like to see it apply to music. I don't think anyone's tried that yet. Yeah, Rave, again, check it out. It's really easy to work with, and the documentation is great for an academic project. pqmf is been a really good feature representation for generative audio. It's a way to split your time domain signal into many filtered time domain signals. It's different from frequency domain. It's not exactly a spectrogram, but you get multiple channels that represent frequency bands anyway. And MP3 encodings use this. Rave uses this, and there's a whole really awesome blog entry here, just explaining why pqmf works nicely, or has been working nicely recently. Diffusion models are also really exciting. So all the breakthroughs that we've been seeing in image generation recently with Midjourney, DALL-E, those are using diffusion models. They're getting really state-of-the-art results, and we want to like this, and we want to we are applying it to audio, and we have a whole new music AI lab that just got started with my boy Zach Fana. Woo! Everybody follow him, and follow Harmon AI. Just started. Actually, we're coming soon. We haven't even started yet. We started. We have a lot of GPUs. We're working. We have Zach made a drum diffusion model, which we used in the Nuns song. And yeah, open source AI lab. We're gonna be putting out neural synthesis stuff for you guys to play with. We may even throw another hackathon. We're making Florp step. Okay, what other ways can you like mess with neural synthesis? So you can combine other kinds of things from MAR, like source separation. Here we generate songs with Jukebox, split it up into instruments and vocals, and then put vocals through all different kinds of effects processing. So we can turn a punk song and make the singer turn it into like an alien or something. A whole new genre right there, alien core. Dadabots. When you could just like spit out music, like you can just think of a genre and then make it 10 hours of it instantly, you kind of become more of a conceptual artist. You come up with like dad rock bands, you come up with ska bands, the deconvolutions, fragrances of rock. And so the format starts changing. So instead of an album of 10 songs, we released an album of 1,000 songs. So we made this emo 1,000-song album called Fake Feelings. And we're really excited about the full future of that. This particular feature of the mega project we want to make called the Black Wall, which is an idea borrowed from Cyberpunk 2077. Black Wall is this firewall beyond which rogue AIs are kept there, and if they broke out, it would destroy the whole internet. So, we're imagining music generating like bots and generative listeners, bots remixing bots, making music just for bots, and just this wall off section of the internet. If that's exciting to you, help us out. Anyway, the end is near. We're selling merch. We're Dadabots. Takeaways for you guys. Your hackathon project can spiral out of control and into the world. And it's really fun when that happens. If you're an academic researcher, and you're doing music, part of your audience is scientists, but also part of your audience is music fans. And why not have fun with it? When you are doing AI music, it's really easy to just reach out to an artist and ask for a collaboration, because very few people are doing it. So go ahead and do it. We're Dadabots. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube. There's also a secret Discord on the website. You can join our cult. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm going to start answering questions. Valeria, if you want to say something real quick before I start answering questions, go for it.
Yeah. So this was amazing. So we should be like very short on questions. So I have like a couple of questions that I took directly from the chat. So
Okay.
I would say, yeah, let's do like this couple of questions and then finish the session, because at 7 p.m. we're going to be starting like with other like mentoring session, and I just want to be like there as well. Okay.
Perfect.
Sounds great. So there's an interesting question here by Balwinder. She says, how do you pay for all these experiments?
Oh, great question. We actually started by winning cloud credits at hackathons. So I know you guys are winning. You could win like a NVIDIA RTX GPUs. If you win those, you do this. We have some GPUs over here. Sometimes you win cloud credits, so that we won like 100K Amazon credits. That's how we started, and then we've done that twice. That's how we started, and then eventually we were just doing cool stuff that people that had access to those credits wanted to continue to support us.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. So our friend State of the Art asks, can we see your AI in the next Loop Station battle, which I think is a beatbox battle, right?
Oh, wait, you want to see the rest of the video?
No. Yeah, the question is whether like your AI can make it to the Loop Station battle, right?
Oh, I know what you're asking. Like, okay, on beatbox competitions, they have yeah, if it's just straight, you got loop battles. I think it's going to be a third tier. It's Loop Station is the Boss 505. I think that's just going to stay. And we're going to make this new tier where you're interacting with playing through neural synthesis.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Final question here. So how do you see the aesthetics be preserved with generative music, and what is the future scope of generative music? And so this question was asked by Shamuka. Sorry, Shamuka, if I butchered your name.
Yeah, it's keep AI weird. There's the temptation to try to make pop music, to try to imitate the exact sound of a band, which is interesting. But what's more interesting is making sounds that have never existed before.
Absolutely.
And Yoda Man's new neurosynthesis web app that he's building is even called Never Before Heard Sounds. And that should be the attitude going forward. And I think what will be the prevailing attitude.
Cool. Yeah, that's great advice. And I kind of like think like on the same lines there as well, even though like my specialty is more like on the symbolic side, which personally I find like more exciting. So I think like we had this discussion multiple times already at CJ, but that's cool. Yeah. Okay. So CJ, thank you so much. The presentation was really, really amazing. And I think like people really, really appreciated that. So yeah, a virtual round of applause to CJ.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And that was CJ's amazing presentation for the first Sound of AI Hackathon. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'll see you next time. Take care for now.